Sony reckons that these are the best noise cancelling earbuds you can buy. Okay, so I'm a little bit late to the party with the Sony WF-1000XM5 earbuds, but that's for a variety of very boring reasons, which I will not bore you with. But I've got them, I've been playing with them, and I want to know if the claim about them being the world's best, well, they don't say that, they just say they are the best noise-cancelling headphones or earbuds is true. And if you don't know, I had my AirPods Pro 2 stolen from my gym several weeks ago now, and since then I've been trying out different earbuds just to try and find something that comes close to Apple's AirPods Pro 2. It's very difficult. I've tried the Bowers & Wilkins PI7S2, so many names here, sorry, which are great. They sound amazing, probably the best sounding earbuds I've ever used, but they have a very big case and just a slightly odd approach to noise cancelling. I've used the Beats Studio Buds Plus quite a bit, and they are really good and very close to the AirPods Pro because they have obviously the Apple ecosystem stuff, but they're still not quite there. Now the Sony WF, I'm just going to call them the WF-XM, in fact I'll just call them the XM5s. I know there's some over-ear headphones called the XM5s, but let's forget that. These apparently, according to Sony, have the best noise cancelling, but in the UK they are £10 more expensive than the AirPods Pro 2, and in the US they're £50 more expensive. Are they worth that premium? Is the noise cancelling really that good? And what do they sound like? I'll reveal all in this video, but just before I do that, although this video isn't sponsored, I do have some fantastic brand partners who enable me to keep making these free videos. So if you've got chance, just check out Brain FM. Brain FM is quite hard to explain, but it's a productivity music app that makes you more productive, as you might expect. It sounds like absolute rubbish, I know, but I've been using it for 2 years now, and I can't work without it. I won't waffle on about it anymore on this video, but if you want to check out Brain FM, click the link below. It is an affiliate link, so I do get a kickback if you sign up, but, well, it's just amazing. Right, on to these. Firstly, hands up, I've never tried the WF-1000XM4s, so I can't compare the XM5s against their predecessor, but I do know what Sony has done to improve these. And they have done quite a lot. So the first thing they've done is put a new driver in here, and that is the Dynamic Drive X, which is 2.4mm bigger than the driver in the XM4s, and that promises a wider range of sound reproduction with lower distortion. There's also 2 new chips. There's the Integrated Processor V2 and the QN2E, and just like the XM4s, the XM5s are compatible with LDAC, which is Sony's high-resolution wireless audio codec, and they're compatible with 360-degree audio, which is fast becoming a standard for headphones and earbuds. So, what do they sound like? Well, at first, I was massively disappointed. I put these in and they just sounded flat, uninteresting, uninspiring, incredibly dull. I panicked because I thought, this can't be right. Why are they so bad? I don't want to give these a horrible review because I like Sony, I like their stuff. I know the XM5 over-ear headphones have been problematic, but generally speaking, I do like their audio kit, so this can't be right. And then I realised that these are review units and they've done the rounds. So basically, whoever had these before me had set their own EQ profile, and it was horrendous. So cheers, whoever did that. But I downloaded the Sony Headphone Connect app thing on my iPhone and set up my own EQ profile. So I basically created a bit of a scoop in the mid-range, boosted the highs a little bit, and then boosted the clear bass at the bottom. And for me, that is just an ideal sound signature. It's right up my street. And the impact that had on the sound of the XM5s was stunning. When I test headphones and earbuds, the first track I always play is Peter Gabriel Sledgehammer, and with my new EQ setting, the XM5s were just mind-blowing. That isn't hyperbole, they are absolutely beautiful sounding headphones. They're very punchy, very wide, very exciting, all the things they weren't when the person who had these before me decided to destroy them. If I had one complaint, it is that there's a little bit of distortion at the upper frequency range if you push the volume a little bit. So if you push your headphones, well, firstly, I don't recommend doing that because you can damage your hearing, but you might encounter a little bit of distortion. It wasn't horrible, but it was definitely there. But that is a minor complaint because they just sound so good at a decent volume. They deal with mellow stuff as well, so I listened to Adele, Easy on Me, and that's just piano and her voice pretty much, and it sounds as buttery smooth as it should do. I do have a headphone killer test track as well, which is called Breathe Again by Pop Evil. If you've never heard it before, it's a very raucous, very heavily compressed, busy record, and bad headphones deal with it incredibly badly, as you would expect, but even some pretty good headphones and some quite expensive headphones do struggle to deal with this track. These don't. Listening to Breathe Again on these was an absolute joy. You could pick out all of the instruments, you could pick out the drums, the guitar, the reverb, tail-offs, it was all there. Even though it's compressed, the dynamics that are still in the recording, you could still hear. In fact, every single track I threw at these sounded fantastic, and that is a very rare thing. What bothers me slightly is that I had to EQ them, because if you know me, you know that I always make this big thing about not EQing headphones and earbuds when I test them, because I want to hear them as the manufacturer intended. And if I EQ them, that makes it a more subjective review. I'm now questioning that tactic, because if I hadn't EQ'd these and just took them at face value based on what Sony thinks we should hear, I wouldn't have said any of the stuff that I just said. Okay, noise cancelling. So these have 6 mics. They have new chips that I mentioned earlier. They have that Dynamic Driver X, the new driver that's in here, which generates accurate cancellation waves to help with noise cancelling. They also come with loads of tips. In fact, the most tips I've ever seen in a pair... The most tips I've ever seen in a pair of noise cancelling earbuds. So we get large, we get medium, we get small, and we get a new SS, which I think stands for super small, possibly. Tiny ones, which is nice to see. So basically, you should be able to fit these in your ears and get a decent seal. I've been using the medium ones, which are very comfy. I'll come on to that in a minute. They work well in terms of passive noise cancelling. In terms of active noise cancelling, as I say, Sony believes these are the best. And that's based on some research that, as you would guess, Sony Corporation carried out earlier this year. It's not clear what they did and what they tested these against, but they're very bullish about how good these are at blocking out the outside world. Now, my gold standard for noise cancelling when it comes to earbuds is the AirPods Pro 2nd generation. They are stunning. They are basically, as near as makes no difference, as good as a very good pair of over-ear noise cancelling earphones, which is an incredible feat given how small those things are compared to a great big set of cans. The big question is, are these at least as good as AirPods Pro 2? No. They're not even close. I'll give you an example. I was at the gym earlier and there's a little coffee shop in the gym. It wasn't a particularly busy room. There was probably about 5 or 6 people in there, a couple of people on the phone, some people milling around, people serving coffees and stuff. With active noise cancelling turned on these, I could hear everything. And okay, it was dampened a bit, as you'd expect, but it was nothing like AirPods Pro 2. And yes, I have tried different tips to see if it was the seal in my ear. Made no difference. I've even turned on the adaptive sound cancellation thing, which basically sets these up to be aware of what you're doing. So they're aware if you're sitting down or if you're moving, if you're walking, if you're on public transport. And in theory, they change the amount of ambient noise that is let in based on your environment. And most noise cancelling earbuds and headphones have this these days, but it's a very difficult feature to test because you just turn it on and in theory it should be better. With that turned on, I'm really disappointed. I was at the press briefing for these and they made a very big noise about the noise cancelling. All the new tech they've built into it. It just doesn't translate to a good pair of noise cancelling earbuds. If noise cancelling is one of your main things, if that's the main thing that you want from your earbuds, you have to get AirPods Pro 2, no question. The same thing comes to transparency mode, and that is when you let in the outside world. So if you want to take a call, or if you want to hear be aware of your surroundings, or talk to someone, for instance. It's not bad on these, to be fair. It does let the world in quite nicely, and they work perfectly for calls, no problem with that whatsoever. But again, it's nothing like the transparency mode on AirPods Pro 2, which is just amazing. Sorry, they're not there. These aren't there yet. I want them to be. I love Sony. I love their gear. But these don't live up to that massive claim that they make. But it's not all bad news. One of the biggest pieces of feedback Sony got about the XM4s apparently was the fact that the next version needed to be lighter and smaller. So these are roughly 25% smaller and 20% lighter than the XM4s. Now, having never used the XM4s, I can't compare, obviously, but all I do know is that these are probably the lightest and comfiest earbuds I've ever used. And the case is wonderful. And if you know me, you know that I'm an absolute bore about headphone cases, but that's for very good reason, because they need to be convenient. And the XM5 case is lovely. I never thought I'd say that, if you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, but there's a button now here for the pairing. On that note, they have multi-point cross-platform pairing from launch. The XM4s, I think it took about 7 or 8 months for users to get that, but the case is just a lovely thing, and with the case you get 24 hours of battery life. Without the case you get 8 hours of battery life of continuous playback with noise cancelling turned on, and a 3-minute charge delivers 60 minutes of playback, which is really impressive. These do have touch controls, and normally I don't like touch controls, but on these they don't seem to be much of a problem. You don't tend to touch them by mistake as you're kind of fiddling around with the earbuds in your ears, so I'm not going to moan about those. But I do have an inevitable conclusion about the Sony WF-1000XM5s. These came so close to being a brilliant pair of earbuds. No, that's not fair, actually. These are a brilliant pair of earbuds. The sound, the comfort, the design, all of that stuff has gone into these, and for that reason they are just a lovely pair of earbuds. I don't think you'd feel shortchanged if those are the things that matter. But that claim about the best noise cancelling just doesn't stack up. That claim works for the XM5 over-ear headphones because they do genuinely have, I think, the best noise cancelling on the market. These cannot beat the AirPods Pro 2. When are we going to get a pair of earbuds that are as good as the AirPods Pro 2 in terms of noise cancelling and transparency mode? Someone please do it. And if you've still got some time and you want to find out exactly what I think about the Beats Studio Buds Plus, keep watching for a link.